Hi videos, I'm Buddy Ray. This would be a quick video since I just mainly want to try to film with Animoji. Before I decide to show my face, well maybe afterwards too. I want to try more different styles of filmmaking. I would say that I'm not even a beginner yet. I just finally decided to share something through videos and I really want to try getting over my perfectionism. It was like a finished beep. Is it best beep? So yes, these are my attempts to make videos in different ways and also an attempt to overcome my perfectionism. With Animoji, I'm going to say something that has been hanging around in my head during my visit to my hometown for the Lunar New Year last month. Ever since I was a child, I have always felt sad about aging. It's not that I am afraid of the process of getting old or I have ever heard any bad life experiences associated with it. It's actually a private, internal emotion of my own. Perhaps it can also be considered as my feeling or sorrow and mercy for the laws of nature. One very impressive example happened one winter evening during my high school years. At that time, I was riding my bike home from school and I saw an old man whose back was no longer straight. He was wiping the traffic barriers in the middle of the main road. There was a basin of water beside him, but I don't think the water in it could be warm. At that time, I didn't cry as often as I do now. I should say that I wasn't quite able to express my emotion as directly as I can do now. My eyes were sore and I couldn't help but grit my teeth and drop a tear or two. The reality was that I passed him just like any other cars, speeding down the street. It was a glimpse that might have lasted only half a second, but it has remained in my heart ever since. The Chinese word hometown, I think it can be translated as old home to some extent, the place where we lived and grew up during the past old years. There was a moment when I suddenly felt that the word old in this phrase could mean that every time we go back, we find that the home we used to live in is kind of getting old. Whether the whole city seems to have actually become more fashionable or younger as a result of the renewal of the streets, the buildings, or not. Some topics that would have made me unhappy and I was afraid which would come up at the New Year Eve's dinner table were almost absent this year. Since the end of 2022, when the Omicron variant of COVID-19 became widespread in the Chinese population, almost everyone in my family has been sick, and even someone has passed away. And this year, I finally realized that some of my aunts and uncles who used to be really active in the family issues were finally showing signs of aging. And it was only then that I got to know they were all approaching 70s. So nowadays, they were already overwhelmed by the triviality within the family, and all the big news of the outside world is no longer something they have energy to talk about. The most frequent words spoken were those concerning health. Besides, the only topic left from the past conversations was about reproduction. Like, are you going to have a baby? When would you have a baby? I wish I could see your baby at the dinner table next year. Your relationship is already so close, so good, and you are at the right age to be pregnant. I got a sense, especially from grandparents in their 90s, that their attachment to the world was reduced to the fear of not being able to see the family continue. I know a lot of individuals hate being pushed to have children, but in reality, I feel that my family didn't really pressure me, so it wasn't particularly disturbing for me to hear that. I just, after sensing their nervousness and fear, sighed a few times. Okay, let's lighten the sad mood a bit. In China, the Chinese New Year is always a time for eating a lot of food and snacks. At the same time, there arises a common myth. Why is there a blister or vertigo on my lip? In the next video, I will briefly explain the causes and the measures to deal with it. And that will be a video that I prepared for my parents, because then I could remind them at any time not to get a reason wrong.